speaking of good friends, a good friend of sports in Polk County for more than 2 decades is Roy Fuoco. And if you read the ledger at all, you know that name. You're at a sporting event, you'll see that name, that gentleman. And Roy, it's always good to have you with us. You've been around for a long, long time, and
Don't remind me.
Well, you're sort of the new Durwood Buck, and you know that institutional knowledge, especially in the sports industry, is really, really important. And you've had a chance to watch, you know, some of the superstars come, some of them go, but one of the stars that likely will be in the Polk County Sports Hall of Fame in the very near future is a gentleman by the name of Bill Castle, who announced his retirement from the Lakeland Dreadnoughts football program after an impressive run. That had to be fun watching him over the years, getting to know him, his ups, his downs, and but for the most part, they were pretty high-level teams. I mean, throughout the decades.
Yeah, I mean, someone asked me, what was the most impressive record that he had or something, and to me, it wasn't the titles. It was in 47 years as a head coach, he never had a losing record. He came in, I think there were a couple of 5-5 seasons, and then it went all up from there. They made the playoffs in year 76, 77, year 4 with Wayne Peace, and it took 10 years to win that first title, and then, from that 96 to 2006 period, in 11 years, 5 state titles. I mean, that's an amazing run and some great talent. They could have won more in the late 90s. Those people forget about. They talk about the 04 to 06 run. That 96 to 99 run, with for either injuries or bad break here or there or something, they might have won at least one more title during that span. There's some great talent there.
Yeah, that's an impressive run, and when you follow that, okay, you got a guy that's been there for decades, 4 decades. You got another guy coming in to fill those shoes. I wouldn't want to be him, and that's
wish him luck, but yikes.
Yeah, that's Marvin Frazier.
Yeah,
and, he's well known, but there's just something intangible about Castle. I don't know if Marvin can replicate that, or maybe he'll do better. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's hard to do better with what Castle did. But first of all, anybody who's willing to replace a Bill Castle, that's got to be a marketer's favor to begin with. The joke, you don't want to be the guy who replaces the guy. You want to be the guy who replaces the
guy that replaces the guy.
However it goes. And but I mean, he's got a good background. He's always had some high-powered offenses. He's known. I thought it was like a good, a good mix that he's known within the Lakeland program and liked with the coaches and the community that he should have the support right off the bat that a so-called outsider might not have. But he's got other experiences from other coaches, other areas that gives him. And he was up for a bunch of jobs in the past that so he is known as like around the state as someone as an up-and-coming coach. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. I mean, he'll have the same challenge, and maybe. The same challenge all coaches do is keeping their players. There's not the Bill Castle draw to say they want to play for Castle now, unless it's to play for Lakeland. And you know how kids change school all the time, so that's going to be a challenge for any coach who comes in.
Yeah.
Well, I think the amazing thing is, you go back to Coach Castle, was, coaching is hard at any level, but in the collegiate level, you're able to have your system. At the high school level, you have to adapt to the student athletes that you have in your program, and some might come in or whatever, but you have to. He won a title in 5 different decades, if I'm correct, at least 4.
Yeah, for 8, 9, 10. Yeah,
12.
Yeah, 5. Yeah,
5 decades. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
My math did work. So he did that in
math.
5 different decades, and it's just an example of being able to adapt to, because the game, you've seen it, Mark, you've certainly seen it. The way the game has changed over the last 50 years, what he was able to do there is unbelievable. And of course, Lakeland winning a state title, Lake Wales winning a state championship. We're going to see both of those teams at the Polk County All Sports Awards and Hall of Fame induction ceremony in June. course, we'll see Coach Castle there. It's funny because Coach Castle has been the coach at Lakeland so long. He was inducted like 15 or 20 years ago. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So he's been
at least 10 or so.
at least 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm saying he's
Yeah.
actually been the head coach at Lakeland High School longer than Coach Frazier has been alive.
Yeah.
Think about that.
That's what Dan Talbot was saying when I was talking to him. He goes, he's been coaching longer than I've been alive. So, but you're right about Castle. That was probably one of his biggest strengths as a coach, is that he was always learning, always adapting, always looking to add, a real student of the game. When he'd go to coaching seminars and always picking the brain. And you look at his offense, how it developed. I mean, this year they ran a lot of spread. They've been doing the last couple of years, one back sets, but he still would have sets where they'd run the fullback, would be under center. It was always fun to see how he carved out the offense to what talent he had. He had his, base stuff, and he was for years he was like a triple option guy, but he's added more passing over the years, and you just saw that last drive when they won state. 90 yards, 7 minutes, 11 seconds, all on the ground, just pounding it at. I mean, that's 47 years of experience, trusting your system and trusting your guys.
So we've got about less than 30 seconds left. I think everybody would like to ask you this question, but since we've got the mic, we get to ask you the question. What's your most memorable moment in sport, in high school sports here in Polk County?
And covering stuff?
Yeah, there's a story that, something that you've covered throughout the.
Oh, I mean, that's a bunch of, I don't know. There's, the two games that stand out would have been Lake Wills coming back to beat Glade Central in '93, the playoffs, down 35-7 or something like that, when they had, Glade Central had Fred Taylor and Rydell Anthony in that group. That was just an incredible thing to cover, and then obviously, and then the 2006 state title game on Lakeland. They were boring game for 3.5 quarters, and then they get an onside kick, and next thing you know, you're in overtime, and then it's back and forth, and the stop at the 1, and just how the roller coaster ride that ending gave you. I mean, those are fun to cover, but over 30 years, there's been a lot of things that kind of, if I really thought about it, would stand out. Sometimes even lesser style. It's always fun to see, when a lesser, not lesser, but like someone who's not maybe going to go on to big time, like that freshman who gets that big hit in a big game or something, or there's certain things like that, that if I really thought about it, stand out. It's always neat seeing those kind of kids come through in a big moment instead of always the stars or something.
It's always fun looking back and reminiscing about that type of stuff, and obviously it'd be fun to get in more detail with you about some of the highlights of your career and some of the career highlights of others that you've covered. But unfortunately, we're out of time. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this interview and want to watch more Sports Central, click the video below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.